Why is it that the man everyone calls strong is often the one who breaks in silence? You know this man. Maybe you are this man. The one people rely on. The one who keeps it together. The one who solves problems, pays the bills, stays calm, carries the pressure. You learned early that strength is survival. Do not cry. Do not complain. Do not show fear. So you built armor. Thick, solid, reliable. And it worked. People respect you. They depend on you. They trust you. But here's the truth no one sees. Armor is heavy. And when you never take it off, it starts to crush you from the inside. You hold everything in, the frustration, the disappointment, the exhaustion. You tell yourself it is discipline. You call it mental toughness. You say, I'll deal with it later. But later never comes. The pressure builds quietly, in your chest, in your jaw, in your sleepless nights. On the outside, you look unshakable. On the inside, you feel the weight. Psychology shows that when you suppress emotion, your body does not forget. Stress hormones stay high, muscles stay tense, your mind stays on guard. You are always bracing, always ready, always carrying. And over time, that constant pressure becomes your normal. You become the safe place for everyone else, the protector, the provider, the problem solver. But who is your safe place? Who asks how you are really doing? And if they did, would you even know how to answer? The strongest men often break first because they wait the longest to admit they are tired. They believe they must handle everything alone. They think asking for help is weakness, so they push harder, work longer, sleep less, feel less. But here's the dangerous part. When you disconnect from pain, you also disconnect from joy. When you numb fear, you numb love. When you silence sadness, you silence peace. The armor that protects you also isolates you. And deep down, there's a quiet fear. If I stop being strong, who am I? If I show cracks, will I lose respect? Will I lose love? So you perform strength. You become the role, the image, the expectation. But no human being was built to carry the world alone. Even steel bends under enough weight. Even the tallest building needs support beams. Strength without release becomes pressure. Pressure without expression becomes pain. And pain without support becomes collapse. If you have ever felt like you are one bad day away from losing control, you are not weak. You are overloaded. If you have ever sat in silence, staring at nothing, feeling a weight you cannot explain, you are not broken. You are human. And here's why you need to stay with me. Because what you've been taught about strength is incomplete. There is another way to be powerful, a way that does not require you to destroy yourself to prove your worth, a way that allows you to lead, protect, and provide without losing your soul. The truth might challenge everything you believed about being a strong man, but if you're willing to listen, you'll discover that breaking is not the end of strength. It is the beginning of real power. Real power was never about feeling nothing. It was about mastering what you feel. Centuries ago, the samurai were seen as the definition of strength, disciplined, fearless, unshakable. They lived by a code that demanded honor, courage, and control. From the outside, they looked like warriors carved from stone. But what made them truly powerful was not their swords, it was their inner balance. They understood something most men today were never taught. Suppressing emotion does not make you strong, it makes you unstable. A warrior who denies fear becomes reckless. A warrior who denies anger becomes explosive. A warrior who denies pain becomes numb. And numb men do not lead well. They react, they implode, they break. The samurai trained their minds as intensely as their bodies. They practiced stillness. They sat in silence. They faced their thoughts without running, not because they were weak, but because they knew the battlefield inside is more dangerous than the battlefield outside. When you sit alone with your thoughts, you meet your fear, your doubt, your insecurity. Most men avoid this space. They drown it out with noise, work, distraction, scrolling, grinding. But avoidance feeds anxiety. What you refuse to face grows stronger in the dark. Modern neuroscience proves what ancient warriors already knew. When you name your emotion, when you acknowledge it instead of suppressing it, the fear center of your brain begins to calm down. Awareness creates control. Not force, not denial, awareness. Imagine that kind of strength. Not the strength that clenches your jaw and pretends everything is fine, but the strength that says, I feel pressure and I will handle it. The strength that recognizes anger rising and chooses discipline over destruction. The strength that admits exhaustion before it turns into collapse. The samurai also embraced ritual, writing poetry, tending gardens, practicing calligraphy. These were not soft hobbies, they were pressure valves, structured ways to release emotion with control. They understood that tension must move, energy must flow. If you trap it inside, it turns against you. You live in a different world. Your battles are deadlines, expectations, financial stress, silent comparisons. But your nervous system reacts the same way theirs did before combat. Your heart races, your muscles tighten, your mind scans for threat. And if you never reset it, you live in constant fight mode. That's why the strongest men break first, not because they are incapable, but because they never power down, they never lower the sword, they never step off the battlefield in their own mind. True strength is integration, mind and body aligned, emotion acknowledged, action chosen with intention. It's calm that is built, not forced, silence that is chosen, not imposed. You sharpen your skills, you build your career, you push your body, but if you ignore your inner world, you're training half of yourself. A man who understands his fear can walk through it. A man who denies his fear is controlled by it. The ancient secret was never about becoming unbreakable. It was about becoming whole, and wholeness is far more powerful than hardness. Wholeness demands a price. It asks you to drop the mask you have worn for years, and that moment when the mask cracks feels terrifying. When the strongest man finally breaks, it rarely looks dramatic. It is quiet, a wave of exhaustion that won't leave, a sudden anger that feels out of control, a numbness that scares you more than pain. You sit alone and wonder, what is wrong with me? But the better question is, how long have you been ignoring yourself? For years, you carried pressure like it was proof of your worth. You convinced yourself that struggle was normal. You convinced yourself that being overwhelmed was just the cost of ambition. But your mind and body do not lie forever. When the gap between who you pretend to be and how you truly feel becomes too wide, something snaps. Psychology calls this cognitive dissonance, the tension between your identity and your reality. You tell yourself, I am strong, I can handle anything, but inside you feel drained, anxious, lost. That tension creates stress, and the longer you deny it, the louder it becomes. The breaking point is not weakness, it is honesty breaking through denial. It may show up as burnout. You wake up tired no matter how much you sleep. The goals that once excited you now feel heavy. It may show up as anxiety. Your heart races for no clear reason. You feel on edge, even in silence. It may show up as emotional shutdown. You stop feeling joy. You stop feeling connection. You feel distant, even from the people you love. And with it comes shame. I should be stronger than this. That sentence is poison. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you silent. But the truth most men never hear, the breakdown is often the doorway to break through. Research on post-traumatic growth shows that struggle can create deeper resilience, not superficial toughness, real strength, the kind built on self-awareness and support. When you face your pain, instead of hiding from it, you begin to understand yourself. You see your limits, you see your patterns, you see the cost of pretending. This is the moment you choose. You can double down on denial, push harder, distract yourself, numb yourself. Or you can lean into the discomfort and ask, what is this trying to teach me? The strongest men break first because they built the highest walls, and when those walls fall, they reveal something powerful, a human being who is finally ready to live without armor. True strength is not about never falling. It is about rising with awareness. It is about saying, I am struggling and I will face it. It is about reaching out instead of isolating. It is about choosing growth over ego. When you share your burden with someone you trust, your body responds. Stress hormones decrease. Your nervous system calms. You feel lighter, not because the problem vanished, but because you are no longer carrying it alone. The breaking point strips away illusion. It forces you to rebuild on truth. And a man rebuilt on truth is far more dangerous to his fears than a man hiding behind